Hello and welcome to System Center 2016 Virtual Machine Manager. In this episode, I will be deploying Hyper-V cluster by using a bare metal deployment. Let's set up the basics of this deployment. There will be a cluster of 4 nodes, all deployed using BMC protocol to automatically deploy. So we'll have picture KVM of all 4 nodes in BIOS settings. And here we will deploy cluster using the function. This cluster will be from the hardware profile, computer profile of 2012 R2. Let's see the basics inside. You need to have a prepared virtual disk using Gen 2 virtualization. You can use it deployable Hyper-V, and here I also included all the drivers inside to this VHD, and also you come to see the setups of the virtual machine. Okay, I need to add another 2 physical NICs to include into this setup, which here if you have VCM, you probably can automatically set up everything. And here I will deploy using DHCP. This is separated by VLAN. And B, this is our setup here. We connect it through. This will not be using what they call set embedded team like 2016. I will show another episode on that one, on how to upgrade and configure it as the set embedded teaming in 2016. Please stay tuned to that. And here, for BIOS deployment servers, you'll use master boot record. But in my case here, I'll be using UEFI as a secure boot platform. And this one I also be using the remaining full disk size from the VHD. So my VHD is a dynamic VHD for reduced time deployment to copy to the server. So mine is dynamic. It's right now at 10 gigs, and when it expands, it will expand to 40 gigs. And to the OS configuration, I have set this one is domain, and set MDO, what they call joint domain account. Set up a local admin password, and also who will be the local administrator for my domain account. And if this is a production deployment, I will set the product keys inside, time zone, and that will be it for the hardware profile. And now let's start deploying. As you can see, normally you can set up through the Hyper-V and Hyper-V cluster, but I find it easy just to set up from a quick create Hyper-V cluster. This will make it easier to deploy a cluster. So mine's set up into what I call a host group. So here, and this is the account you need to join to create the cluster. So I'll create as an admin of the fabric. And here, this is where the option you deploy from physical computers to be provisioned or bare metal deployment. So here you use your physical computer profile, which we just set, and this is the PCM account of each what you call. I set mine as what you call account to be the same for all 4 nodes, and this is the protocol that which what you call a computer server supports and its port. And after that, you can set the range, a single IP or a whole subnet. Maybe you want to deploy a whole 16 and 200 of them in case you set up. I'll be just setting up 4 nodes. I'll just say, for example, here I put them in sequence as 1 to 4. And after this part, the computer will start going to full discovery mode after I select all nodes. So I have my node 1 is 1, 1, node 2, 1, 2, and so on. So I select them all now. And this is the part where you see the computer will start to restart. So here you'll see it start to restart soon. This one has restarted already, and the servers you need to set up for what they call for easy deployment. I set them as PXE boot as a primary, and the secondary is a local disk. Okay, let's go back here, and to queue time while waiting to boot, I'll say put in my computer names. This one is for node 2, and this one is for node 4, and this one is for node 1 as a sequence, so I can have a representative of the physical computer. And when you have full discovery, you will see a list of this, and all the management here will be mapped out. So let's see. I'll fast forward a bit for you so you don't need to wait on this process to speed up the time and to go into PXE boot directly. So after you get used to it, it's not going to be a long time. In my particular case, I'll set up the boot disk to specify the boot disk. This one will be a second boot and second disk in the slot. And also, this one starts showing up. As you can see, when it all deploys connected, you'll see the MAC address and the CDN that is already been deployed in the system. This one has discovered successfully, and let's wait a few more nodes to come online. So we already have node 2 completed, scheduled, and coming up a few moments. Okay, so we have all 4 nodes selected. In my particular case, I set up all in slot 2 to be the boot disk of the server. So I select this, and after this process, they ask me, they tell me that I cannot apply a static IP, and so if I want to do that, I'll probably need to do it in the cluster manager. So this is a summary of everything, and you can save this PowerShell script for later use if you want. I will just go through this process. So you can see here that our cluster now is starting to be in deploy mode. As you can spread up here, that it start provisioning, setting up everything. So it will start format to this. So make you understand and see what's going on. So if you look in here, you want to know that what is going on in case you want to do debugging. I'll just use Shift F10 and I can go into this part to see what's going on. So this, you can see that this one has been selected, has been start being configuring, and I have this inside. Now I can do a list of volumes, what has been created. So system is still configuring the disk. So okay, everything is up. There's a few up here. This is the boot record, which is in FLAT32, because it's what is required to install a bootloader from UEFI. So we do have another look again. So they've created and formatted the OS drive on drive I, and you can follow this part here, iDrive, and see what's going on. You can see the the virtual disk that I had selected in the computer profile is start to be copying over through this process here of transfer virtual disk. And when the transfer is completed, in my particular case, it will start converted into a fixed disk for performance. Sorry. Now that this has been copied over, and you can see my dynamic virtual disk has been copied over, and now it starts to convert into a fixed disk. It depends on the speed of your disk array. In my particular case is an SSD, so this will not take long. But to shorten time, I'll speed up this record until we see the next step. As you can see now, the server has finished completing setting up the server. This process will start to boot up a few times as Windows needs a complete initialization of itself with all the credentials and everything already set up. This time you can see that Windows PXE doesn't do a remote boot because System Center knows that right now we already have all servers in this discovery, so they turn off this function and only authorized IP will go into Windows boot directly from the disk. As you can see now, Windows has finished complete install. We'll just log in to see how is everything. So I'll put my credentials. As you can see, I'm using PowerShell command customization into this. So let's just see what the NICs look like. I have 4 NICs with the name already embedded into the system. And see that the computer is already joined the domain and already has a host name. Everything set up. This is for server 1. Let's go see the process, how is everything. As you can see, server 1 has already seems lost in context. Server 2, 4, server 1 here completed. Already enabled Hyper-V, installed the ports, installed the switch extensions, deployed the drivers, everything completed. And let's go down. The process of validating the cluster has started kicking in. As you can see inside the system here, you can have a look. You should see the all information of the hardware. You see the physical NICs embedded into the computer setup, and also for this, you will see something special down here, as you normally would not, just by adding the server to the system is that this computer is managed by out-of-band using the IPMI protocol, which we're using deployed by BMC. Okay, so the cluster is still validating. When the validator passes, the cluster will start forming FA officially. So I'll just open the cluster set up, and it's just to connect to the cluster later on after this report is finished and everything starts forming. And you can see that we are now creating a cluster. Cluster is now getting ready to form. Let's expand this area. Now right now it's adding the node 1 to the cluster as the first cluster node. And we're adding resources. In my particular case, I have not used a shared volume, so it will show up an error. This I will plan to use storage space directs from in Windows 2016, so this don't need to worry about this error report later on. I'm going to show a few steps on how to do a deployment, backbone deployment, and also upgrading the deployment into a new version in the next episode using the upgrade cluster function of System Center. Now we have our cluster formed. We can have a look into the cluster. What would it look like? As you can see, the cluster is formed using a traditional material method of managing the system. So we have our 4 cluster nodes being created by System Center, and this part here you have seen that the cluster is full. Everything in a cluster node is okay, and then we see everything is running okay. Now that's a simple step of how to create a cluster using backbone deployment. Thank you, and fine tune to the next episode.